Are you ready for cocktails and conversations? Are you ready for cocktails and conversations? Are you ready for cocktails and conversations? With your host, the unapologetic diva, Dr. G, the girlfriend therapist, Dr. Cortina Lewis, and the networking extraordinaire, Diana Richardson Philippus. Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? This is Herspiration Happy Hour. Hey, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
This is your unapologetic diva, Dr. G.
This is your networking extraordinaire, Diana Richardson Philippus.
And I am Chavez D. Walker, your coach of courage.
All right. And Dr. Lewis is not with us right now. She might pop on a little bit later. She's, more than likely a therapist. Sometimes your sessions run a little late, but I'm sure she will pop in as soon as she gets an opportunity to. But yeah, we just want to kick off this day, which is, what's been going on with you all? How's your week been?
My week has been amazing thus far. Busy, but really good.
Okay. What about you, Sinead?
It's cold here in Florida. Like how we get here. I'm so confused about what's happening. I live in Florida. It's cold. I needed a coat. I put on a big coat today.
Jacksonville got snow. New Orleans got snow. Baton Rouge, Mississippi, way down south, Mississippi got snow. We got snow Sunday because I flew in from New Orleans Sunday, beating the whole snowstorm that was coming through, or the snow, which I thought wouldn't be as much as it was, or even look quite the way it would do, like it would when you're up north. Oh, It snowed.
Yeah, we got snow last night, yesterday evening into the night. Georgia got yet another snowstorm. It wasn't as bad, as many inch-wise, as a couple weeks prior, but we did get some snow and the streets were quite crunchy. They were crunchy, with ice. I like to call them crunchy. I'm like, okay, get it in, Georgia. Get it in. It is winter.
Question. Do you all have like salt and cleaner trucks there?
I have no idea what Georgia has.
You haven't been out?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not been outside the house since the day before. Wait, I'm lying. I went out yesterday before the snowstorm. But I imagine watching the news that they do have, they layer the street with brine. But in my community in particular, there's no salt trucks coming through our community, salting our streets. So They were crunchy.
It's not unusual, but that's why I'm telling you, when I was in New Orleans, and classic Pam, I'm always getting that flight cancellation. So my flight got canceled coming north, but not because of the traffic, not the traffic, the weather there in New Orleans on that day. Anyway, it was at home. And when I tell you I flew in, I was like praying, because that runway looked very, very slippery. And I was like, oh gosh, please don't tell me we're going to go sliding into this building. But no, it was a smooth land. But of course, we do pre-treat here. We are always prepared for snow, or for the most part we are, because we do typically get snow in the winter time. So, but I've just never seen the weather quite like this. Not where a lot of those real southern, I'm talking southern states, like southern on the water almost of Mississippi and New Orleans, and getting a snow.
Yeah.
Like 2 to 3 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's definitely a shift in the atmosphere going on here. I was on Instagram earlier today, and there was a woman who did like a vlog. She was in Florida. I think she was in, it was right on the tip of my tongue, Palm Bay or somewhere down there in Florida, where the touristy part. And she was on the beach with the snow, and she was like, I have never. And I was like, it was the most amazing thing to see, because you have the ocean, the water rushing back and forth, but it's snow. on
Mm-hmm.
top of the, and I mean, snow. I mean, it wasn't, of course, but it was enough. It was enough. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
One of the things I said that if I could not get a flight out of New Orleans, then I would drive. I would have just driven. I would have driven out of there, mostly because I can probably deal with getting stuck in many places that commonly have snow, because I know those people can drive. When you have southern states that all of a sudden get snow, thank you. I don't
Mhm.
need anyone going to slide around me, and
Yeah,
they're not accustomed to driving on snow. Because
yeah,
I've seen people with Florida tags and be balling on 95 and end up in the ditch. Like,
yep.
you might want to keep that driving down in Florida, because it's a whole different beast when you're driving on ice, and oftentimes just because it might look like, especially black ice, because it looks like it's clear, it might not be clear. And black ice, to be real, it'll have you sliding off a cliff.
Not only that, too, most people in Florida, they have summer tires
Mm-hmm.
where when
Oh yeah.
you, depending on, and so I always put all weather tires on my vehicles. But most people in Florida, they get summer tires. Number one, they're a lot cheaper. Number two, they're not expecting snow. So I do know, after they had that big that storm where it left a lot of people, it claimed a lot of lives back in Atlanta. What was that? 2018, something like that. That's when they invested in all the trucks, the salt trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Well, do they
definitely
claim a
ride
lot?
through and they clear out the highways, but I don't think they go into the neighborhoods though.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember it was 20, I think it was 2013 or 14. I don't know if it claimed a lot of lives, but I know a lot of people were stranded on the
Oh
highways.
yeah, no,
My
lots of
husband was
people
one of
lost
them.
their lives. Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
people lost their lives. People thought that they could just walk home because the vehicles had ran out of gas and whatever on the highway, but they got out of the car trying to walk like to people with, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that was quite devastating. I know my husband was at work and he worked far north of the city in Cherokee County at this time.
Mm.
And I told him, I mean, I was looking at the weather and I was like, now, this is not something that Georgia is prepared for. And me coming from Philly, I'm like, I'm gonna stay home.
Mhm.
I said, because what I'm not getting ready to do is be on this highway with these people and they don't know how to drive. And the key part for me is that they were predicting ice.
Mm.
Now, I don't play with ice. I can drive in snow all day long and twice on Sunday. But when you're talking about ice, that's a whole nother beast. And they let everybody go at the same time and was trying to ice the street. I mean, treat the streets. I don't even want to talk about that. I had people clowning me and stuff like, "Oh, girl, what's going on down there in Georgia?" I don't have nothing to do with that. I was at home where I was supposed to be because I knew better. And he was my husband. I would kept calling him like, "Listen, you need to get." As soon as I seen the snow at 11 a.m., I was like, "You need to come on." And he was like, "Well, nah, they ain't gave us the green light." I was like, "See,
Mm.
it couldn't have been me because it was Central Alt Delete. Good night, good night."
Mhm.
But anywho, I digress. But yeah, that was a mess. That was
Yeah,
a
so
mess.
we have fires and now we have ice. So
Yeah.
figure out what else is coming post the new year. It's already been a very interesting transition, and now we got the wind. We have the weather that is acting up super, which kind of brings us to some of our conversation that we want to talk about. I think that now more than ever, I think it's time that we understood the power of just showing up as your authentic self, your authentic emotions. There is a lot that is going on that we have to emotionally process, that we have to mentally process. And I feel like there's a level of power that you get when you start to own where you are as opposed to suppressing it. So I'd love to hear you ladies' thoughts on kind of what is it? What does it mean, especially right now, given the last like few days, the importance of just showing up authentically with where you are in your life and how you feel? Not all at once.
For me personally, it isn't even a matter of a couple of days. I think I kind of know overall what it's hinting toward, but this is my thing, right? I'm going to be authentically me no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It to me, it doesn't necessarily matter, who's in office, who's not in office, who's doing what or how they're doing it, because at the end of the day, I know my Lord and Savior, and so He is going to cover all things for me. So when I think about being authentic and and having an emotional intelligence during this time, because don't get me wrong, I do see, I'm human, I see it, but I just choose not to engage in that. I'm a grown woman. I don't go to those lows. I really don't. I keep on the high road and do me. I mind my thoughts, my mouth, and my business at all times. I'm going to mind them three things at all times. And so it really doesn't matter. But since we're talking about authentic, I mean, let me just say this, for those who may see. Shay, I know you already saw, but see, there's something going on here. There's something going on, right? So let me just say this about being it isn't about being authentic. It's about just living how you want to live and showing up how you desire to show up, which has prompted, yes, I have cut all tresses. All the tresses are gone. There's a number of reasons why I did it, right? One, I've always wanted a TWA, y'all. I promise you, I've always wanted to do it, but I was always too scared to do it. I've done chops and left, a certain amount of hair out because I was like, no, I can't go that low. Like, I don't know about that. What are people going to think?
Yeah.
And I decided on Saturday, like, this is it. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to be authentic on this journey of wanting to own and rock my TWA. And she here. And she is here. So y'all be yourself. Oh, hey, Tasani, how you doing, girl? Thank you. Girl. It's a transition, child. It's a transition. But I'm doing it. You hear me? I'm doing it. I'm gonna love it. I need to put on some big earrings because look, my one girlfriend, she was like, make sure you wear some big earrings. I'm like, look,
they say when a woman chops her hair off, she's changing her life. So there's a major shift in transformation that is getting ready to take place, and I am here for it.
Let me tell you something. The shift is already it's shifting. Everything has shifted. I had to talk to my husband about it, okay? FYI, my husband is a hair man. He like hair. I ain't knocking him because he like hair, y'all. I understand these things. However, I sat him down. I said, listen, this is happening. And he was like, what? What you said? It's happening. And he was like, okay, because I got him to do it. Thank you. My husband did my cut. He know how to cut, y'all. So when he started, I cut it first with some scissors real good. And I still had this much left. I was like, okay, get the guard, put the guard on there, get into it. And he got down to like this much. And he was like, okay. I was like, no, you're not understanding me. I said, I want you to take it off. He was like, all of it? I was like, all of it.
Oh my gosh, girl, you are bold, because I would never, ever let Jay put any kind of.
Oh, he knows how. My husband knows how. Trust me, my husband's good at this. Like, y'all ain't got no patches or nothing, y'all. I ain't got no patches in the TWA or nothing. And y'all, why am I whispering? He like it.
Mm-hmm.
He like it. He think I'm sexy, y'all. I put on the lips and stuff for him. He think I'm sexy, y'all.
As he should.
You goddamn right. Oop, there I go. I said I wasn't cussing.
I'm like, what? I'm gonna do it. Okay.
All that.
Listen, I think you look beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I
Absolutely.
told you how I feel about it. I think it did something. I feel like it unlocked something, and you're wearing the unleash, like unleash,
Yes.
you know, whatever that is.
I'm letting loose in
That
2025. You
yes,
hear me?
yeah.
All,
Yes.
I'm
Listen,
letting all the way loose.
so I really want to respond to this power of being unapologetically you. I'm like,
Come on,
it's
author.
it's such a deep thing, right? So for the past couple of years, especially throughout my spiritual journey, I've been able to discern that there are so many people that are stuck in identity crisis, right?
Mm.
And when I say identity crisis, I'm not saying whether they identify as woman or man. No, they are stuck in a place of trying to figure out how to come out of survival mode. They're trying to figure out how to break free from the generational things that have been passed down, the ideologies, the things that have been imparted in them from, you know, mama's fear, daddy's fear, grandmama and them didn't travel. You know, it's crazy how many women I spoke to 2 years ago, and it's still flowing over today, that they've never flown before, because, or they've never even left their state for that matter, because they have the circle around them. People have pumped fear into them about, no, you don't want to go over there because they say things like that happen over here and things like this. Don't go over there. Don't do this. Don't do that. And so, and just being able to hear the many people that are just stuck living in the shadows of the people before them that didn't, whether they were brave enough to go, whether they had the finances to try, whether they even felt that they were worthy enough to even try to go do something different, because people actually fear being judged by becoming the better version of themselves. People like get stuck there, right? And so being around people that struggle with identity crisis is what actually encourages me to continue to reach and go higher spiritually, and be able to break down my emotions and how I truly feel about the journey I've that I've conquered, the places that I'm trying to go. But like, empowered women empower, right? So being a woman that because I'm one of those people, like my mom used to always say, oh my God, girl, you fly by the seat of your pants. Like, where are you? I'll be on the phone 1 minute and 5 hours later, I'm like, I'm in Mexico. When the hell did you get to when? Well, I randomly would go to the airport because, I mean, thank God I created such a way for myself that I could just do this. When I became an empty nester, when the kids left home, I would just randomly go to the airport and just be like, all right, well, I'm gonna get this ticket and I'm out of here. I won't pack a bag. I just have my passport. I'll worry about that when I get there. Everywhere in the world, I got a Walmart, honey. I go get a toothbrush, and then especially if you decide to just go to Mexico or anywhere in the DR, whatever, you can easily find you a cute little sundress, honey, for $10 and keep it pushing. People think that you need all this money to travel and get out and do stuff, and you just don't. You know, you just don't. And so being able to share those things and be brave enough to do it, it's helped me along my journey be the coach of courage, so that it can encourage other people to break the cycles or the theologies that they've allowed themselves to submit to, right? Just go try. Nothing beats a failure but a try. All you have to do is put one foot in front of the other and just go. Just do it. Just go. And stop thinking it has to look a certain way. Stop comparing yourself to other people, because that's not your story. That's not who you are. People on the internet all day, every single day, make it look like they rolling in money, honey. And
Come
then
on.
people trying to figure
Come
out how
on.
to get to the next day. They got disconnect notices on the table.
Come
You
on.
know, these people show up with all this name brand hoopla on, making all
Child.
this noise, but then you got a mattress on the floor. And I'm not knocking nobody that got a mattress on the floor, but baby, I want you to know that you can have more.
Yes.
I need for you to break those cycles of thinking it has to look a certain way to fit in certain spaces. God makes room for our gifts and he provides as we go, right? So thinking about being authentically me and unapologetic about it is because I've been able to identify who I am in Christ and stop trying to conform to the opinions of people that whether I settled in seasons to be friends with, whether I've been, stuck in, because I remember being in a season of comparison, like, oh my God, it's supposed to look like this for me too. Why aren't things looking like that for me too? But then you get over there and you're able to see the inside of why it looks like, wait a minute. Oh God, thank you.
That ain't really what I want.
Because that's not my portion.
That's not what I want at all.
There's just some things that I'm not about to submit to,
But you know something? It's so funny that you're hitting on that, because I literally had a conversation about this like 2.5 hours ago. I just was having a conversation about people who, when you think it's supposed to look a certain way, when you're looking at someone else and you're thinking, oh, well, why isn't it happening for me? Or is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And that comparison, right? And I was telling the person, I said the same thing. I'm like, listen, we are all born with gifts. Every person has their own individual gifts. God grants us that. It is up to you to have the power of discernment to get to know your higher power. So to be able to discern what that gift is and then move forward.
Yeah, I agree. And also, when we talk about like prayer and meditation and whatnot, but when people pray, one of the things that I always, in my prayers, I can't say what anybody else prays about, but I pray for things that I'm thankful for. I don't pray for nothing, because I always feel like what I'm supposed to have is going to show up anyway, because that's already set for me to have. And for me to have that, that purposefulness and that drivenness to be open to receive it. But I don't pray for borrowed trouble. I'm not trying to ask for no car, no house, no handbag, no travel, no trip, no
nothing. Material.
Yeah, I don't pray for
those are material.
I feel like those can be borrowed trouble. I don't pray for certain people to be in my life, but I do pray that I got a thumbs up. But I do pray that if somebody is not there to serve me well, to give me the discernment to remove them, and if my discernment is off, make sure and remove it for me.
Absolutely. And I think that it all begins with being grateful.
I can't show up as myself and in my authentic truth. And as long as I know I am genuine to myself, good, bad, or indifferent, and I love who I am, that's who is going to show up for you. Now, there are many versions of me, but all of those are me. How I show up at work is real me. How I show up with my friends, that's real me. But I think for me, when people say, oh, you got to be a certain way, you can't trust people, look, until you give me a reason not to trust you, I'm never going to do anything that I'm going to be ashamed of. I'm just not. I don't live my life like that. I don't give a damn how many cameras and all of those things out. If I say it, I meant it.
Right.
And even if the intent or the tact that it comes out or the delivery might be a little off, but it's going to merit some truth. I'm not hung up on I'm beyond where I'm not going to name call. I don't have time for those things. And if I have to, that's not the energy that I want around me, because I'm one of those that truly believe that iron sharpens iron. And the energy that I'm giving out, I'm not open to accept anything other than what I'm giving out, because my energy, it radiates very wide, which is why I'm going to tell you, this is how you know when your energy is on point and authentic and true. I have so many people that have reached out to me regarding my journey that wants to meet me. So, but what's important that I will put out there is I never said that they had to be friends. These,
Mm-hmm.
I have acquaintances that I'm going to see. There's people who I've had social media relationships with the whole time, but I'm showing up because I said I was going to show up. So I feel like if I put that out there, and there are people who just saying, you know what, I love your energy. I've always wanted to meet you. It would be my honor. It's my pleasure. That lets me know that the energy that I'm making is shifting people's lives.
That's right.
Because why else would you want to come and
That's
sit down
right.
and have dinner or hang out with me? So
Yeah.
that let me know a lot, and it makes me feel super blessed and super grateful that I've always shown up in a very authentic way, because now I know I've been doing it right. I've been doing
I
it
agree
right.
with that. I agree with that. Totally. That's
Yeah,
good.
me too.
Yeah.
So, but that's important. And when we talk, when I was saying that this conversation is important to have right now, one thing I will say is for some people, since the new administration is coming in, there's going to be a lot of trauma. There's already a lot of mental and emotional trauma. And our residential therapist is not here, so we can't get her insight on it. But what I will say is that take the time that you're going to need to process your feelings and emotions.
Uh-huh.
Seek therapy, seek some level of guidance, whether it's spiritual or an actual therapist, because there really is something called both racial trauma and emotional trauma. And those are not things that you want to suppress. That is real. Then it's winter time. You are in your house. It gets dark early. So you're compounding on a lot of different things that affect your mood, that affects your emotions, that affect your well-being. If you're used to running outdoors and now all of a sudden where you live at, if you live in Florida, Jacksonville, or New Orleans, and running was your jam because it was how you release, unless you're good at running in the snow, and you never have, you're now sitting in the house waiting on those. And where's that release taking place for you? And
I think
so,
it's important to remember too that this too shall pass.
oh, of course.
This too shall pass. It's a season.
Well, everything is a season.
Exactly. So
Everything is a
when
season.
we talk about depression and people with and getting stuck in, especially wintertime, it's important that you really keep that in your mind that this too shall pass. Sometimes it feels like it won't. I mean, I can personally speak to that. Being in a season in my life where it's like, oh gosh, everything seems downtrodden, but this too shall pass, and it does.
Hmm.
And it does.
I love when I have, not that I want them all the time, but I love when I go through seasons of hardship, because it helps me appreciate far more, and I look at it as a lesson. I'm that type that say, why is this happening to me? What is it that I'm not paying attention to? What am I not doing enough? Because I got a bomb relationship with God. So but not everything is going to be perfect. And to me, and you have to have hardships to understand your level of resiliency. I mean, you have to know what hurt is in order to love. You have to know what pain is in order to know what feels good to you. So you have to go through different trials that's going to set you on a pace for elevation. That's what I'll say. But you have to be open to it. And I think when you waddle in it, then you kind of stay in it a little bit longer, because you're not looking for the lesson in it. You just saying you're in that woe is me phase, and that's where you lose your power, even if it's temporary. So instead of losing your power, just pray your way through it and look for, pray, say, you know what, God, thank you for giving me this lesson. I don't know what it's for, but let it pass. I'd rather,
No,
it's better than
every
traveling in it.
obstacle, every setback, every challenge is a setup for a comeback to be an even bigger and
Yes.
better and stronger person. Anytime I have an obstacle that I face, I immediately say, wait a minute, this isn't an obstacle at all. This is a chance for me to stretch. This is meant to stretch me in some form, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. It's meant to stretch me. And when you really look at your challenges and your obstacles from that lens, then you're able to navigate that all the more better instead of looking at it in a negative light. Always look for the positive in every situation, because believe it or not, there is.
So let me ask you this, or
Yeah.
ask both of you ladies. What happens when the lesson is not yours? See, God uses us, and it doesn't always feel good. And so
Absolutely.
I have had to learn that it had nothing to do with me. I was being used, and it was a painful experience, and I came out of it, because when God says you've been used enough, he's going to end that season for you, but it's
Yeah.
not always up for you to stretch and learn from that. It's made for someone else to.
I
And
still think that that is still an opportune time for us to still stretch and grow when you know that God has put you on assignment to teach somebody else.
no, I didn't
That's
say it wasn't
still
about stretching or growing. I'm saying that sometimes we there's nothing for us to really learn from
Sometimes
it,
the assignment is not
because
yours.
sometimes that,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's not made for
yeah.
you.
We
It's
have
not,
to stop
it is really not made
self-assigning.
for you.
Yes, we got to stop
That's how,
self-assigning.
yeah.
Um, ooh, so the first thing I'm going to say is not everyone is spiritually mature to understand a lot of the things that we are saying, right? So we have to be mindful of that. We have to remember that that was once us, right? We didn't always spiritually know what to do and how to think and how to overcome those mental attacks that come at us, right? And so I would first like to encourage anyone that may be having a challenging time overcoming these things. Be very mindful of how you speak to yourself and the things that you allow to consume your thought process. Because once you start claiming anything, whether it's illness, depression, any of those things, you may have a diagnosis, but you got to understand something. The moment you allow yourself to claim it, it becomes yours. So you can receive a diagnosis, you can hear a diagnosis, but the difference between the diagnosis and actually having what the thing that they're saying that you have to claim it. So what you do is rebuke it. You know, you dispute it, you rebuke it, and you take action steps. So understanding that you always want to surround yourself or either have at least one strong body in your circle that you can call, that can pull you out of a certain place, imparting certain words. If you know, have that trusted companion. And not all company is not good company.
come
So
on.
be willing to, you know, embrace those outreach lines. You know, you can call the Red Cross. They have so many things out there. There are so many platforms that where you can call, you know, whether it's the suicide hotline or whatever that is, like allow yourself to say, okay, you know what? If I jump, I can have a soft place to land if I just exercise my options. Because sometimes people can't go to the people that are closest to them. They have to go, you know, they need other platforms because they are stuck in embarrassment and shame and all those things. So that's what I want to say. I want to encourage somebody to do that. The other thing on the flip side of that is to respond to what you said, Pam, is we have to always, because we have an elevated level of spiritual maturity, we have to be very, very firm in understanding that God sometimes need people to go through what they go through, right? So that they can get to him just the same way we came. So we can't self-assign ourselves. Even with having adult kids, too many times I've gotten in the way and I've come to the rescue. I've now become the rescue 911 when God really should be the rescue 911. So I've had to learn to say no, even when it's hard.
Oh, yes.
I want to say yes, and I want to help you. I want to rescue you because I have enough wisdom and understanding about how to navigate certain things. But I realize something. If I keep showing up to rescue you, you'll never get to God's promise. He'll never be able to show you what he can do. And so I have to remove myself. We struggle with self-assigning ourselves. Because we're strong and we've navigated and we know and we're empowering women that can empower other women. But guess what? You got to do the work too. I can't have more faith and believe in your potential than you can. So we can always say, oh, I see so much in you. I see so much this. I see so much that. But if that person can't get in the mirror and identify what's in them, then it'll just continue to fall on deaf ears. Nothing we say will ever be potent enough until that person actually embraces the fact that, you know what? I can evolve. I can arise out of this situation. I'm not stuck here. I'm keeping myself trapped here. And that's all mental. So I would then say, you guys have to learn how to identify what the helmet of salvation is, so that God can protect your peace, your mind, and help you sustain yourself in those drought seasons or in those desolate seasons. And then as you form your relationship with God, remember his word is it. See, I'm one of those friends. I'm loyal to a fault sometimes, but I appreciate that about myself, because my behavior in my earthly relationships mimics a lot of my mannerisms in the spirit. Like, I have a faith, an unshakable faith, like an unrattled faith when it comes to things. When things happen in my life, I be like, oh God, you cooking.
Right.
Oh, you cooking. Oh, you working. Because God's final word is, I can proclaim the victory. I have the victory. And if God said that we are victors, then why on earth would I ever see myself as a failure? It's a lie. It's a lie. And so like, I'm not going to go back and forth with God and the devil. If God said this and I'm standing on the word of God, I would be doing myself a disservice to be disloyal to what the word said. So anyway, I digress.
That's why they say you can't pray and worry.
Yeah.
You cannot.
Like, pick a side.
You have to remember that you have dominion. All day right. you have dominion. And when you know that, and when you get that in your spirit, I mean, like, when you really feel it, when obstacles and challenges come, you can easily like, wait a minute. No, this is not what that is. No, I have dominion, and you have to speak it forward. Speak it out your mouth. Believe it and speak it. Ooh, y'all, this is gonna turn into church.
I'm telling you, God, I'm gonna be quiet.
It's about to turn into church.
Look, it is not church right now. I'm over here having a libation.
Well, listen.
So let me ask this, because I think this is one of a very we've had a lot of very powerful statements made, observations made, but I think one of the things that would help is like, where do you tell people where to start? Is like, when you are coming into that place of authenticity, does it have a starting point for you?
Absolutely. What I know is that the generations before us, they absolutely shunned counseling. They did not promote counseling. They did not promote therapy. My business is my business. What stays in the house, what happens in the house stays in the house, all of that. I rebuke all of that. Seek help. It is okay to find someone that you can, that's what we're all here for, right? Like, it is okay. I encourage anyone, seek therapy. Find somebody that you mesh with, and even in not just meshing, because sometimes you need to be challenged emotionally. Sometimes you need to have, I've heard people so many times, oh, I went to this therapist and I didn't really like them. But why did you not like them? Did you not like them because they were saying the hard things that you needed to hear and you didn't want to hear it? Or did you not like them because it just wasn't a fit? You need to identify the two. And you got to stop being so fragile with hearing. We need to be able to hear the truth. So I would absolutely just encourage anybody, start with counseling. Start with being okay with accepting that, you know what, I am at a crossroad and I need a little something extra here.
Yeah. And since you talk about therapy, let me piggyback off of you to encourage people to know how to break up with your therapist if they're not serving you.
Yes.
I think people stay paying money in therapy, being dishonest about their emotions and feelings from the time they walk into the room. So, and I always equate, as a woman who, might have some hard time. Most Black women anyway have a very hard time finding a good pair of jeans, that perfect pair of jeans. That's how finding a good therapist is. But if you can't fit a pair of jeans, are you going to keep trying to shove yourself in them? No, you're going to go buy you a pair that's going to fit. That's how therapy is. Client therapy relationships, they work both ways. A therapist is only going to be as good as your honesty when you sit in that room. And it's not just about them being very pushing you to be your best. You would know, because and our residential therapist calls herself the girlfriend therapist for a reason, because it's literally like coming and having a conversation with friends, but this one you can dump everything on, because not only can they unpack it, they don't pack it back, they help you put it up, they help you fold it, put it away, and make sure that you have resources and coping mechanisms that's going to help you through those things. So, yes, I think it is very important and critical that you seek therapy as a way to become your authentic self. However, don't be deterred because if you go to your first therapist and you don't feel like it's working, find one that will. It might take you to your fourth one to find one that you are super comfortable with. But I'm going to tell you, you're wasting your money if you go and sit in anybody's office or chair or lay on their chairs or anything else like that, and you can't unload and be your honest and true self in that place where it's meant for you to heal. So that's one of the things that I would say with regards to therapy, because a lot of people don't know how to break up with their therapist that's not serving them.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually
I'm
say
just saying.
there's a lot of different sides to being your authentic self, right? Not all of it is rooted necessarily in trauma. Some of it is just people not wanting to put themselves out there, right? Because they're afraid of what other people may think. They're afraid that they may be judged for wanting to come out and just be who they really are. And in that vein, I think that I would, from another perspective, just say, look in the mirror, give yourself the permission to be you, because you don't need anybody else's permission to live your life authentically. And when you do that, you will open up a whole new realm of life, one of happiness, one of trajectory, as I would like to say. Your life will be moving forward. You don't have to dumb yourself down.
Yep.
You don't have to live your life on someone else's terms. You don't have to live your life in the shadows. Give yourself permission, and then pray for God or whomever your higher power is to increase your circle for those that are accepting and loving of you, the real you.
Yeah.
That's my little tidbit.
So you know what? And let me also say this, and then I'll leave the whole therapy thing alone. Let me tell you, people need to connect their mental health with their physical health. So there might be nothing wrong with you, no trauma, no nothing. You could just be like Diana and I, just busy, 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 busy. But it doesn't mean that a check-in doesn't hurt now and again.
Okay, I have a therapist.
That's what I'm saying. And so for me, I have one that I don't see all the time, but it is a check-in just for my own sanity, because sometimes life gets overwhelming with all the things that I'm doing. And sometimes I just need to let it out and vent. Yeah. And sometimes what I've been told is, why are you doing so much? Who do you have to prove anything that you do to? And I'm like, nobody, me. And I learned that I was an overachiever for no damn reason at all. And so I have since slid back on a lot of things that I used to do, and I replaced it with other things that I love to do, like actually sit my black ass down and relax. Watch TV, watch things that I never thought that I would want to watch, like some of the ratchet TV. But yeah, but something that simple was just brought on to me because I'm such an overachiever and thought that, I feel like I need to do. And in reality, I really wasn't doing it for anyone other than myself. So why am I putting so much pressure on me? So, and I learned that with no kind of trauma, no nothing, just a random check-in, going to my therapist, sharing all the stuff that I had going on. And she said, you made me tired just now. Aren't you tired?
The other thing is, be unafraid to invest in yourself, because sometimes, a lot of people, and I get this all the time, people get overly consumed because maybe the people that they're able to seek with their insurance, they're not a fit, right? But we think about how many things we sacrifice, like, right? We do a lot of things for ourselves, but be unafraid to take those same finances and invest in a therapist that may not be within your insurance network. It's okay. Invest in you. And I say that with assertiveness because you'll miss the mark. Sometimes people get discouraged for so many reasons, but then we sacrifice so much for so many people, and then you find yourself not willing to make those same sacrifices for yourself, what with it, investing in yourself. So be open to making those same power moves, those money moves, to get a therapist that's not in the network.
And also say, people will make you feel like it's selfish, right? Like you're being selfish when you decide to say, no, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to put myself first. But in all actuality, that is an act of love for yourself. It is not selfish. Be okay with that, because especially us as women. Let's just start there. Women, I don't know why we run around here like we got S's on our backs, and we're superwoman, and we can do all things all the time for everyone, and we can't. And it's okay. It's really okay. I thought I was superwoman too. I hung my cape up. I hung my cape up, y'all. I learned the power of no and putting Diana first. It's rejuvenating and refreshing, you guys. Try
That's why I said, understanding the power of I gets you very comfortable with the power of no.
Yeah.
Come first. Everything that concerns how I feel, I have to live with the decisions that I make. So I don't mind saying no, and I don't care how you feel. And so my power of I has way more power than anything else, than how you feel or whatever. Um, and so let me ask you ladies another question. See, I must be, I might need to go back to doing press, to doing press, because I'm just on it with the questions tonight. Go back to doing my press conferences. No, so we talked about, how to get there. And I know that people often struggle. So I would like to know you ladies' take on, social media being a significant factor of how people feel about themselves and see themselves. And how do you get to just turn that off?
Well, one, you have to be a very strong person mentally, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, you really have to be very strong minded and have self-confidence within yourself to know that what I'm looking at all the time on social media is not the truth. Let's start there. It's not all true. And stop comparing yourself to other people. It really, to me, it's very simple. But I do understand that what may be very simple for me may not be very simple for others. Hence why we have children who are committing suicide, looking at different things on social media, having being anorexic, things like, because they're seeing they think they should be stick figures and this and the BBLs, and I'm not judging, okay, people, if you have a BBL, okay, fine, but I'm just saying, and you really have to be able to discern that what social media is. Social media is a powerful tool for a lot of different things, for businesses and things like that. Social media also can be a fun outlet for people. Keep it in its category. Don't go on there and think that, oh, you're looking at this person and, oh, I should look like that. No, you should look like you. You should look like you. And just keep it light. Just keep it light on social media. Y'all know how, well, maybe you don't. I utilize social media for business purposes primarily. I do, because it serves me in that light. However, social media, you guys, I'm gonna come back. Go ahead, Shay. I'll stay here the whole 15 minutes because social media, I'm passionate about that because I truly feel that people really do have the wrong perception about social media. And sometimes people do use it in the wrong way. They're putting out these false narratives to people, and it's not right. It really isn't. And again, to me, it all ties back into being authentic. Which
let me ask you really quick before you answer. So do you always show up authentic on your social media? Whenever you do post something personal, is it authentic?
It is.
Okay. And I'm not saying that. I just want, because, we talk about these things, and because we're on a very public platform, I know some people that might be in someone's mind. They go to the page and it looks this way or that way. And it's like, well, you talk about, people not showing up and it's not the real thing. But is that the case with you? I mean, for me, it definitely is. I feel like, I want to set an example and a tone. So how you see me online is how you will see me in public. And so I think that's important. That's why I asked that question, is because what you see is what you get, and how I feel is often displayed in what I have to write or say on my
Now, let me say this too really quick. And this is just for me personally. Now, yes, you will catch some personal moments of me on social media because I do think it's important from a business aspect for people to be able to relate to me from a personal and a business aspect, right? Mm-hmm. But I am not one to put my whole personal life on social media because personally, I don't think it's anybody's business. Half of the people that follow you, and this is no strike against my Lord knows this is no strike against my followers. It's not. But let's just keep it real right now. Half the people that you don't know them, and they're only interested in seeing certain things about you. So why would I put my most personal business on display for a bunch of people that don't know me?
Yeah.
That don't love me. And I might just go so far as to say may not even have my best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So people have to be, because I've gotten that question before, like, oh, you don't put a lot of, you don't do this and that on social media. And I'm not.
That part.
There are certain aspects of me that are for me.
Yeah.
Period. My personal like, I'm not putting all of that on display for the world because that's personal to me. And I think that there are some components of life that should remain that way.
Now that I agree with that. I was just saying what you do display and put on.
Oh yeah,
girl. Your authentic self. I'm a firm believer. Not everything is meant for social media anyway, and I think some things people like to see drama. I don't really I don't entertain that kind of energy, but people like drama whose backyard is dirty and filthy and haven't even wanted to take time to clean that up, but want to be in yours. So I don't indulge in those types of things. And then also, I can honestly say nothing in my house lasts that damn long for me to be like, oh, let me hop on social media because the shit is done as soon as it starts. we are mentally and emotionally, lovingly mature up in this house. So, and by the time I would even get through a caption, the shit's over. So
I agree.
Look, we out hanging out by that point. So that's why I don't indulge in anyone else's drama, because I don't invite that level of energy into my space. And when I see it on social media, I kind of just scroll through. I'm very protective of what I even allow myself to have access to. And if I start to see it, remove. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. But I mean, that's just me. So what about you, Shay? What do you think about the whole social media?
So, I don't care. It's that simple for me. Like, my Instagram page is my real life, and I can't help that it look dope and fly the way it do, because I'm dope and fly. I mean, I'm just
that
saying,
part.
like my I'm happy in real life.
And low key, you a girl to hang around. And look, low key, you are a whole vibe.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm happy in real life. And so it looks lively and fun and full of family and memories and the people I love, because that's really what I got really going on in my real life. It's my page. I just do it when I want to do it, and I don't do it when I don't want to do it. But that's because I understand people.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not overly consumed with social media. Never have. I like to scroll, get a good laugh. I like to send DMs to my friends, and we crack up and laugh, but we lift each other up in prayer. So even the things that happen behind the scenes in the DM is the same thing that's happened on the page, because I'm one way. Yeah. What you see is what you get with me.
Period.
I'm going to laugh. I'm going to have fun. I can turn up. I can turn down. I can turn up in the spirit. I'm going to have a good time. I love music. I like to dance. What you see is what you get. I'm not out here, like my grandma used to say, perpetrating a fraud. That ain't my movie. It's just not my jam. So social media is there for me to use it how I want to use it. I don't get overly consumed. It's all opinions of people that don't matter. Not one of those people that can form an opinion about the Coach of Courage is not paying a bill. I can't take your opinion to the bank and deposit it. It's not going to give me a financial reward. Ain't nothing about it giving me any kind of substance. So I could care less about being overly consumed by any of it. Like people were losing their mind when the whole TikTok thing is happening. And I get it. A lot of people have been able to exercise these platforms to actually evolve financially. And I get it. For those, I truly understand. But let me tell you how I was like, oh, they can shut TikTok down?
I said the same thing. I'm on
and they
TikTok.
Were like, oh no, he paused the ban. I was like, is it really that deep? And I guess it is that deep for a lot of people, because people have been able to create or curate identity through these platforms. But if you can't sustain without these platforms, baby, you need Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, and before we end tonight, I said I was going to share a comment about, this whole TikTok ban thing. It wasn't down for that long, but the outrage over someone else's platform that can go down at any given time. If that's where your investment is, then you need a better marketing strategy for your business. But then secondly, I didn't like that what came out of it when you went back to TikTok. It was like, President Trump, he wasn't president yet. So, just the wording, but I'm saying the wording of it is just like they made it seem like he was a superhero or something. Oh, I came to save the day. People need to understand,
that was all a ploy.
It was a ploy for something bigger and greater and probably worse that's coming. So then it's only temporary.
That in the name of Jesus.
But then did you hear people was going to Red Hat or whatever this other new Chinese platform is and all of that. So you have to look at it's something called Red Hat. I don't know. I didn't even look into it because I'm over all the social media that exists right now. I'm stretched thin. But I think we sometimes have to look at the bigger picture of what's behind the window that's not being displayed or secretly being displayed, because your outrage over TikTok blocked out other things that's actually taking place by law. And they've always done that. They would do 1,000 things to hide what things do. Oh, Beyonce's going on concert. Let me go ahead and push this law past. So we have to be more cognizant and pay attention to what bills and laws are paying both, at the federal level and your state and local levels of kind of, what is going on and what's being really not said in order to make things bypass us.
Project 2025. That's all I'm going to say.
So that we are at the top of the hour, and I got to go drop my baby off because I have to fly to LA tomorrow. Shay, where can everybody find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Coach of Courage, or you can website www.thecoachofcourage.com, and by email thecoachofcourage@gmail.com.
And Diana?
Social media at Diana Richardson Philippus, and website dianarichardsonphilippus.com.
And you can find me on all social media platforms at IAMDRPGURLEY. I am Dr. P. Gurley. You can follow the Herspiration brand on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We thank you so much for tuning in with us for another week and even playing back some of the other previous seasons that we have. This is season 8, y'all. I'm super proud of this creation that I did back and released back in November or December of 2017. And still standing and evolving with you all. So I appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next week, same time and same place. Cheers.
Cheers.
This